What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to GamerFuzion. So Mistfall Hunter is officially live, and launch day gave us genuinely good news and genuinely bad news at the same time. On the good side, the dev team went on their official launch live stream and did something you almost never see. They took the community's harshest questions head on, the real complaints about performance, class balance, and what this game even wants to be. On the bad side, the team also published a list of 12 known issues at launch, and a few of them can genuinely cost you loot. So today we are going through exactly what the developers said, every issue you need to know about, the workarounds, and when a fix is realistically coming. Let us get into it. Let us start with the biggest one, because performance has been the #1 complaint about this game for months. The question the community put to the team was blunt. It asked whether the devs can actually fix the optimization, pointed out that a graphics card like a 3060 turned the game into a slideshow on high settings, and asked whether players are just being forced to buy new hardware. And to their credit, the team did not dodge it. They acknowledged directly that performance was one of the biggest issues coming out of their last public test. They said that straight after Steam Next Fest, they created a team specifically focused on optimization, and that over the past month, they have shipped nearly 100 patches, many of them aimed squarely at performance. Their words were that the improvements have been pretty significant. And this was the line I actually wanted to hear, because it is the honest framing. Optimization does not end at launch. They committed to continuing performance work through future updates, which is the right answer, though obviously it is a promise rather than a patch note, and we will all be measuring it ourselves over the next few weeks. Next up, class balance, and specifically the Shadowstrix. The community question was that balance is in a rough spot right now, and that the Shadowstrix in particular is far too strong. And honestly, if you played the beta, you know exactly where that came from. Between the fast stagger pressure and the sheer mobility to engage and disengage whenever it wanted. The team's answer was essentially about design philosophy. They said balancing this game is genuinely hard, precisely because they want every class to be totally different, with different abilities and different skills, rather than variations on a theme. And then they said the part that matters, that they never take class balance lightly, and that after every test they look carefully at both player feedback and real gameplay data before making adjustments. Worth noting, they already acted on this, because the launch patch specifically restricted the Shadowstrix crowd control chains that were the loudest complaint. Now, this next question was my favorite, and it is the one that decides whether you will actually enjoy this game. A player asked flat out, what do you want Mistfall Hunter to be? A hardcore competitive player versus player game, or a player versus environment game where you slowly develop a character and research builds? And the answer was that it is deliberately neither. Their words were that you cannot simply say what kind of game Mistfall Hunter is, that it is not a simple player versus player game and not a simple co-op game, and that the goal from the very beginning was to combine both experiences into something new. They stressed that both sides are equally important, but that players should choose the way they want to play. And in practice, that is holding up, because you have people farming bosses while dodging every fight, people hunting other players purely for their loot, and people who just sit in camp flipping items on the auction house. That is a real design choice. So that is the good news out of the way. Now the bad news, because alongside launch, the team published a list of 12 known issues, and I want to walk you through the ones that actually affect you. Take a look at the board, because these are not cosmetic nitpicks. A couple of them can cost you a run, several of them hit console and controller players specifically, and one of them can quietly cost you an item you needed to escape with. The one I would put at the top of your list involves extraction, which is the worst possible place for a bug in a game like this. If you repeatedly move in and out of the area around a soul tree while you are summoning an extraction point, it can consume an extra soul of return. That is a resource you actively need to get out with your loot, so losing one to a bug is genuinely painful. The workaround is simple, and I would start doing it immediately. Once you begin summoning at a soul tree, stay put and let it finish instead of wandering in and out. There are a couple of other gameplay ones worth knowing too. Sorcerer players, your Flame Blade visual effect does not currently match its actual damage range, so trust the numbers and not your eyes. Item splitting is broken through the secondary menu, so use the hotkey instead. And if you are fighting General Herald, the Fallen General, occasional impassable areas can appear in that encounter. And here is the pattern that jumped out at me reading the full list. Controller and console players got hit disproportionately hard. 4 of the 12 issues are specifically controller or platform problems. Moving the cursor across parts of the seasonal leaderboard screen with the joystick may crash the game outright, which is the most severe one on the list. And my advice is blunt. Just do not open the seasonal leaderboard on controller until this is patched. On top of that, equipment cannot currently be unequipped in the gear system on controller, and some auction house gem slots cannot be selected with the directional pad, although the joystick does work. On PlayStation 5, the deck screen can occasionally display abnormally, which restarting does fix. Add the console reconnect failures after a disconnection, and it is a rough launch, specifically if you are on a pad. So when does this actually get fixed? Here is the honest answer, and it is worth understanding because it explains a lot of launch week frustration. The team has submitted an expedited store review request, which means they are pushing to get a patch out fast. But updates like this cannot release without platform approval first, so the timing is genuinely not entirely in the developer's hands. Practically, that means no date has been given, and nobody can honestly give you one. What we do know is that a fix is submitted and waiting on approval, so realistically we are talking days rather than weeks, but treat that as my read and not a promise. Let us end the news on the good stuff because Season 1 launched right alongside the game and there is free value sitting there. The Season 1 Battle Pass unlocks completely free and the only requirement is logging in for 7 days total. Those are cumulative logins, so if you play in bursts and then vanish for a fortnight, you are leaving a free cosmetic set on the table. Just load the game, let the day tick, and log out. On top of that, the launch content itself is meaningful. The new holy weapons do not just carry better numbers, the team confirmed they come with their own unique mechanics, which genuinely changes how a class plays rather than just how hard it hits. And the north and south zones of Brandergard got reworked, to the point that people who played the earlier tests are saying the map feels completely different now. So where does that leave us? My read is that this is a rough but honest launch. The issue list is real and the controller problems in particular need fixing fast, but a team that publishes 12 known issues on day 1 and then sits down to answer the angriest questions in the community is behaving better than most. They closed by saying the team reads community comments one by one, and given how quickly the Shadowstrix changes landed, that seems to actually be true. So tell me down in the comments, has performance improved for you compared to the earlier test? And are you on controller dealing with any of these right now? And that is everything from the launch response and the full known issues list. We are covering this game as it develops. So if you want the patch breakdowns and the guides as they land, go ahead and subscribe and turn on notifications. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.